One more issue, definitely of interest. The Fortuna and the direction Fortuna's going. Is it going to be the next Eureka? Is there room for big box development there? And if so, is that the sort of development people there really need? You're a Fortuna resident. What's your feelings on that?
My best sense of the way we should develop in Fortuna is a true mixed use. Have some more residential, more especially have some manufacturing and industrial land available for those opportunities, for increased economic diversity and living wage jobs that go with that. And we're going to need more office space, and we definitely need some more retail. But I think the trying to morph Fortuna into being a small residential community into the true retail center of the county is probably a short-sighted move for several reasons. I think it would adversely alter the friendly Fortuna feel, the small town feel that we have. And I think the impacts on traffic, South Broadway at several times now during the day is almost unworkable. And I feel that if we created a center down in Fortuna where the regional shopping would all be happening down in Fortuna, we would be pulling from Arcata, McKinleyville, Eureka. In fact, Fred Cass, the developer who has been planning the shopping center there on the old Palco Mill site, has said that he's basically going to use the entire county as his draw area for the shopping center. So I think when you look at fuel prices and the traffic impacts and the effects on Fortuna, I don't think that would be our best move. And also, internet shopping and catalog shopping is really increasing. And I think
the fact that he wants to use Fortuna taxpayer dollars to help fund the project.
Well, yeah, there's another factor too. And so I think, but it's not so much being against that as for some of the better things I think we could do is having development in Fortuna that would really enhance the feel that we have in Fortuna and increase some employment opportunities by having some manufacturing and industrial land set aside and available for companies that would want to relocate there.
What do you think the best thing that can happen to that?
Well,
Do you think the plan, the Mendocino Redwood plan, is that something that you're behind?
I would love to see that occur. It does several things. It would keep the habitat conservation plan intact and working. It would keep the timberlands, the 200,000 acres of timberlands in single ownership, and they'd be working with a certification that would ensure that it was sustainable, and the mill would be operating and available for as a home for the logs from other small landowners and ranch landowners. So, and I think in the short term there would be a cut in employment, but in the long term I think that would be a very healthy model.
What do you see happening with Rio Dell? Do you have a?
I think Rio Dell's on a roll. I think their city manager and city council are they've got their water system fixed. They're working on their sewer system now, and they've done the beautification there on Wildwood Avenue, and I think it's been very affordable compared to other communities, and have great weather. It's another little beautiful bend of the river with the Scotia Bluffs there.
It is nice there, isn't it? What's like your main reason for running?
I got enthused for a long time. I've been interested in a tradition of being an apple farmer. I've worked as a carpenter and designed some parts of buildings and some porches, and read books about streetscapes, and I've always been interested in how communities feel and look. And in the last year or so, I engaged in Fortuna's general plan update process, and just as a citizen was commenting on some of the things that they were thinking about doing there, and engaging in the roundtable discussions, and it seemed like a great opportunity to kind of go from there to thinking about the county as a whole and how we could develop and do it sustainably and positively and make it a place where we can economically thrive and yet be a great place to live. We've had pasture-fed cattle, and it wasn't like something we needed to invent. It was just there,
But
and I think that
unpasteurized milk can still not come out of Humboldt County. Maybe Charles can more.
That's my understanding.
Correct. It's illegal to sell unpasteurized milk. It's illegal for you probably to sell unpasteurized.
we
apple
could.
juice, correct?
Well, the regulations changed for apple juice in the wake of the Odwalla incident, and so we can sell unpasteurized apple juice, which we still do seasonally at our location in Fortuna. But it
You
cannot
can't sell commercially,
but
correct?
it's sold commercially, but just at our location. It can't be wholesale to other locations. And I know there's a discussion of unpasteurized milk as well, and I think as long as something like that is, I mean, I know there's a market for it as long as it's labeled appropriately. I believe it happens in Mendocino County, and I think that could be a market as long as it's clearly identified, so the consumers that get it, and there's not a crossover.
Does that hurt your business?
Yeah, it downsized our apple cider business a little bit, but we're growing more apples, and so we can still wholesale whole market apples, and so we've been doing that successfully.
Do you think there's a future for the railroad in Humboldt County? And if so, is it in cooperation with the regional authority that's been sort of running things for the last 10 years, not making a whole lot of progress? Or do you think the rails that are on the ground here in Humboldt County should be used by a more county-specific authority for local transportation or shipment use?
Well, I think railroad's great, just in a general way. The carbon footprint of moving goods by rail is great. And for anybody that's ever taken the passenger train out of here, which I remember doing as a kid, it's just a wonderful way to travel through the Eel River Canyon. But and so the challenges, though, of having that railroad through that canyon of bentonite clay, where there's slip outs, and in many places there's not even a rail bed anymore. I think you keep adding zeros to what that's going to cost to do that, and so I think that's probably unfeasible at this point to take public money and fix that so that a private company could then operate it or haul freight through there. I think that's it's just too much public tax money to do that, and the environmental standards to rebuild that through that unstable geology would be really challenging. But that being said, I think it's really important to keep all this in single ownership, single public ownership for some foreseeable use. And I think locally, I think the rail banking idea is great to use these local sections as part of the Humboldt Bay Trail system. I think would be a great step. As soon as there's a viable freight haul, those could be converted back to that if there really is a demand to use that as a rail. But I think in the short term here, I think a trail system would be our best shot, and it would make a great community asset, and a great destination for adventure tourism, that type of thing.
Is it a challenge just getting all the way across the 2nd District over the last few months? It's just so many hundreds of square miles, so many remote locations.
Oh, it's huge, and I certainly haven't been everywhere, but I've been Alder Point Road up into Trinity County and Kenton Palm, and several times in the Redway Garberville area, and out to Shelburne Cove a couple times. Certainly a lot around Fortuna and Hydesville and Riddell. Talked to a lot of people, and there's a lot of variety and diversity of opinions out there. But it's been interesting, and I feel like I'm an accessible person to all those groups.
Where do you stand out, you think, from your opponents?